Ready?
Good morning, good morning. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who has decided to join us by Zoom today for your sales class, which is entitled, You Are Your Best Marketer. I also want to say thank you to everyone who has decided to come to the center on this very chilly, cold 27 degrees day to join us today as we talk about things that I've experienced and learned, being that I've come from sales from Sam's after 18 years. So a little bit about me. My name is Audrey Brown. I've been with the center since 2019 at the beginning of the year. Came by way of sales. Any and everything that could have been sold at Sam's, I did it. Any and everything that could have been marketed, meaning memberships, programs, I was one of the few people who were responsible for that. So with that being said, I want to share some things that are near and dear to my heart about sales. And keep in mind, you're going to hear a lot about my family because those are my first team members. And I've shared and made the statement about you are your best marketer to my children for years, and it finally made an impact. So that's how we come up with the title, You Are Your Best Marketer. So with that being started, the first slide I wanted to share was talking about the top qualities for being a good salesperson, good salesman. After 18 years, there are a lot of things that a lot of different people will consider top qualities. For me, I listed the top 8. And I want to kind of go through each one and explain to you why I feel they're very important. The first one would be being a team player. Everybody has in their mind that if you're a salesperson, you have to be a talkative, gabby person. Yes and no. The importance of being a good team player is knowing how to find other good team players who can do the things that maybe you're not as strong as, and then you switch. So being a team player is the ability to find other good team players. Okay? The other thing, especially, and I'm going to talk a lot about coming out of sales, is being flexible. A lot of times we look at certain situations, and for those that are older, we're programmed. You know, this is our job, this is our job. In the world of retail, everything is your job. There's no one set job. You also have to be teachable. So there are times when you have to switch quickly and make it look like it's normal. The friendly part is one of my top 3. And the reason being for that, if someone is coming in and they're willing to spend money, and your job is to sell, keep in mind that it is important to smile or sound like you are smiling at all times. And that was one of the toughest jobs for me. Now, I'm a gabber. I'm a talker. But even on the phone, one of the things I had to learn how to do was smile while I'm talking so that that person can feel it through the phone. Because if a person feels welcome and they feel like you're really there to solve their problems, then they're going to come back to you and they're going to ask for you specifically. The other thing is, my number one thing that I feel makes you a great salesman is to be confident. Okay? If you are not sure of what you're saying, what you're selling, any and everybody that you're talking to, they feel the same way. So I believe, and I practice it myself, confidence is the main thing. That's the first thing people see when you walk in the room. If you walk in and you look like you know and you own it, they believe you own it, you know it. If you walk in and you're not sure and you kind of lay back, then they're going to go with that. So that confidence part is really like the number one for me. The next one is learning how to be a great problem solver. And that takes time. Everybody doesn't have that ability right away, but you can work on that. And the next 2 are also round up my top 3. And that's being a great communicator and a great listener. Because a lot of people talk, but a lot of people don't listen. So it's important to understand that as you trying to make a sale or tell somebody about a service, that you're giving them what they need, but you're also finding out what they need. So you have to have that exchange. So at any time you guys have questions, please let me know. So within those 8, you have my top 3. The second item of things I wanted to share were some things that are important to me for my daily success. Now these are things that I do. So on the board you'll see there are 3 songs that are listed up there. I kind of wanted to play them, but I wanted to put them up there so that you would be able to go back. As a salesperson, it is very important that you make sure that your mind is ready and that you're motivated. A sales job is not an ordinary job. It is not. You have to be the motivator, the cheerleader, the captain, when everybody else is just trying to figure out which way we're going, what we're doing. And so for me, I listed a couple of the songs that I listen to on a regular basis. That mean a lot to me because I need things that'll motivate me, that'll get me excited. So when I go in, I'm ready. Even if everybody else is not quite sure which way we're going, boom, I got to, in my mind, say, we have this. So these are a couple of things that I do every day. Number one, it says I start with music that motivates me. Everybody's going to have something different. I encourage you to find the things that keep you uplifted, that encourage you. Also, I give myself goals. I give myself things that when I'm in a sales environment or I'm out and about, I look for challenges and I look for things that I can complete every day. So I try to make a to-do list of things to complete today. Now I may have 5 on that list and I may only complete 2, but I did something. I didn't just sit and not complete anything. So those are really important things to think about. The other one is, going back to the initial being a great salesman, is the facial expressions. Guys, that is a make or break. And one of the things after the 18 years of sales, I found myself working on that because our face speaks when we don't say anything. And a lot of times people say, well, I didn't say anything. But your facial expression shows whether you're interested or not, and whether you're willing to continue with whatever the situation or the conversation is. The other thing is, for me, I am an index person. I love index cards. So they're small. I can put them in a purse. I can put them in the bag. I can take notes. I can do whatever I need to do. So this is my number one way of always making sure if I hear something that I need to go back and pay attention to or research later, I can make a notation of that. I write my affirmations on there. I have them in my office. I have short-term goals and I have long-term goals. And I have I have the 3 months, I got the 6 months. So it's really important to make sure that you're, again, constantly giving yourself things that'll motivate you to get you to the next level. Okay? The number one thing that I found as a trainer with in retail was that you gotta make sure that you're in comfortable clothing, regardless to what environment you're working in. A lot of times we want to go in and you want to have the most expensive clothes on. You want to have the top notch. But if your feet hurt, we struggling. So my advice would be to keep it simple, to keep it where you're comfortable and that you are happy. Because at the end of the day, it's your dress, your attire matters. But you want to make sure that you're comfortable. You want to make sure that you can continue the day. Because if your feet hurt and your clothes are uncomfortable, you're going to be pulling at a shirt, pulling at a jacket, taking something off. It's just going to be one of those situations where people they're going to try to figure out, well, what's going on? You're having issues. And if you're selling and struggling and adjusting and trying to get it together, it's just hard. So Coming from a salesman, now it may sound very basic, and it may be some things that most people just don't think about, but it's really important. The next item I have is to, as you're working on your sales and you're starting to make decisions as a salesman, to always stand firm in whatever your decision is. And you're going to hear me repeat this a couple of other times. But if you're in a situation and you're making a sale and you know 100% that you can complete that sale and guarantee that your yes be yes. But if at any time in your conversation, your situation, you realize there are some things that you cannot do and it will be a hindrance to you at a later time, by all means, buy out. The worst thing you could do is put yourself in a situation where it ends up costing you more if you would have just said no, you're unable to complete a task, versus saying yes to get it and then have to come out of your pocket. So I am a firm believer in saying if yes is yes, okay. If it's no, then let's be upfront and transparent to make sure that when we walk away from the table of the agreement, that everybody's looking for the same thing. Good? Great. If you have any questions at any time, let me know. Now, this next part is really the salesman's part for me as a female. Now, my last job with retail, I was selling cell phones. So I was coming from a totally different environment from working on the sales floor. And again, your appearance is the one thing that draws people to you or make them walk away from you. So with that being said, I'm encouraging everyone to use what you have as your advantage, as an advantage. So, you guys see me. I am a plus size woman. Size does not matter. Your confidence is what matters. Okay? You use what's to your advantage. In the retail world, and even today, I have a hat on today, but I have short hair. I make that haircut work for me because that is a drawing point for me. If you don't remember my name, you're going to remember my haircut. Okay? Now, with that being said, it may be a favorite color that I like to wear that I know is a conversation starter. It could be a particular style of blouse that I wear. It could be any of those things. The key is, as you start to grow as a salesperson and learn the do's and don'ts for yourself, you'll learn what works. The conversation, positive qualities that you have, you want to accent those. You want to constantly focus on those. You don't want to go overboard. You want to look nice. You want to be professional. As a female, I have two things that I really realized were good conversation starters for me. And those two things were, I love lipstick. You can't see it today because I'm neutral. But I'm a purple with a little glitter, blue with a little glitter. I believe in stepping outside the box. That worked for me. The other thing that was positive for me was I like wearing oils. I love essential oils. And I found essential oils that I could wear all day and they would last. And so that was a conversation starter for me. So while I'm working and I'm doing my sales area, I would have others that would come to me and they were like, oh my God, I smelled you across the room or at the other side of the store, or those kind of things, or the things that I'm saying that you need to accent. So everybody has something different. The gentleman that worked with me, his thing was shoes. It was a conversation starter. And I noticed them. I noticed the pants. There are certain things that people like. And so I just want to encourage you to always find the things that make you feel good, that make you feel positive. And when you run into other people who compliment that or say they like a certain thing, then keep that in mind, because as a salesperson or salesman, you're going to be on the front line. Everybody's going to come to you first or right after the first person to kind of find out how things work. And so your mindset, the way you dress, and the way you carry yourself has a lot to do with if they will come back to you. So I've been away from retail for 3 years now. And one of the things that helped me while I was there was just to be happy-go-lucky and a friendly person. The first couple of years I was away, I still had people asking me, hey, I've been looking for you, where have you been? And I was like, y'all, I've been gone. But when you give good service, when you are friendly and very helpful, they will come back. The next thing is, going back to the quality I focused on earlier, is you must believe that when you are in the room, you are the boss. So that confidence piece is key. Always put yourself in a situation where if you know you have questions, your customer's gonna have questions, regardless to the setting that you're in. And don't be afraid to ask the question. There are a lot of times we are in situations and the room is quiet, they'll open up the floor, they'll say, do anybody have any questions? And no one asks the question. And they just sit there. And at the end of the presentation, everybody comes up and they ask the question that everybody wanted to know. And then everybody jumps in and they said, yeah, I needed to know that. As a good salesperson, please don't be afraid to ask the question. Because if you're thinking it, I guarantee you there are 2 to 3 other people in the room that are thinking the same thing. And that too will also set you apart as a good salesperson, because they realize the company you're working for, the product you're selling, that you're going to ask those questions and not be afraid. You also have to be ready for questions. So that means you're going to have to be ready for the questions that you have and the questions you're not sure about. And you need to be able to know who to go to get the answer. Okay? And then the final thing is when you give a solution, make sure you're able to answer and correct it. I can't even talk now. Make sure that you're able to stand by the decision that you made and you can complete that. So again, we're going to go back over just the positive things you want to work on, the positive things that are about you that will draw people to you. So again, as a female, without the hat, my hair is the #1 conversation starter. It will be the lipstick, and it will be just having positive energy. No matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, we want to present ourselves in a manner where we're smiling and making others welcome to come to us at all times. The next thing I add in is just dealing with self-care. We spend a lot of time talking, focusing on the needs of everybody else, but in order to be that top salesman, in order to be the person that everybody goes to, you also have to take care of self. You can spend all the money on the clothes and all the money on all the other things, but if you don't take care of yourself, and you're stressful when you get to work, you're unable to smile, you're unable to be happy, that it's not going to work. And it shows. When you walk in the door, if you're stressed, it shows. If you're frustrated, it shows. Okay? So one of the things that I've done and I encourage others to do is that when you're in an environment and you can find an accountability partner, by all means, make sure you find someone who is able to hold you accountable and you do the same. The second thing, which is a little bit harder to do, is work on your strengths and your weaknesses, which means you have to be vulnerable to do that. You have to be open to share with others the things that you need to work on. So, a little bit about me. Coming out of sales, I've been in a male-dominated environment, and coming from the original store, it was close to a military base, and I had to be able to speak up for myself. I took it from one extreme to the other. I went from just straightforward, just going for the jugular, till I had to learn how to bring it down and calm it down a little bit. So depending on the environment you're in, you have to look at the people that you're working with to understand how to communicate. The things that I was saying were correct, but the manner in which I was saying it was out of order. And so there were some things that, as a person, I had to say, okay, Audrey, I understand this is what's going on, but I need you to work on A, B, C. And as I started doing the self-inventory for me, I was able to kind of make the shift, make the changes, and then also be able to communicate with the managers on a different level. Even though they understood what I was saying, my delivery was terrible. And I know we all have, and we have all seen people who, what you're saying is correct, it's just that delivery. And so that goes into that part of that self-care. When you're working on being a great salesman and a salesperson, you want to make sure that how you're delivering your information comes off to where they will receive it and not just fight against you and then what you're saying. So that also goes into understanding and taking time to, when you're dealing in sales, not let the word no make you feel like you're incomplete and you're unable to do the job. Keep in mind, as a top salesperson and dealing in sales, it may not be their time then, but they may come back to you at another time. The key is, as long as you share the information with them and they receive it, good or bad, it's okay. It's when you take it personal that it will make you feel like you need to shut down and you have a hard time going on to the next person. One of the things I share with the people, a lot of people that I train, is that don't take it personal because it's not your stuff. That's number one. It is not your stuff. It's not your product. It is not your money that's on the line. It's just an opportunity that at that moment, that person was not ready to receive. But now let's go back and let me add this. Maybe the person you're sharing the opportunity with, it wasn't for them that day. But if you presented yourself in a situation and you were friendly, and you were smiling, and you were helpful, again, it may not be for them that day, but they will come back. And they have come back. I've had people come to me years after me leaving retail, and they've asked, hey, where have you been? What have you been doing? I've been out with different people, and they were like, Audrey, what were you doing over there? I was being me, and I was just helpful. And so it makes a difference, because today may not be their day, but next week may be their time, and they can have somebody come back to you. The other thing is picking up the qualities from the original top qualities is to always stay positive and always stay focused. We're human. We have days and times it's going to be tough. But the key is to make sure that you stay positive and you stay focused when you're in front of anyone and everyone that you have an opportunity to share information with. And that one is a tough one. So continuing with the self-care, make sure you do things when you're away to help you relax so you're not stressful. So when you come back to work and you're that top salesperson, you're ready. It is really important that we don't carry the stress from the day before, the week before, into tomorrow. And a lot of times we do, because the word no hurts our feelings and it makes us feel some type of way. So understanding the importance of taking care of yourself personally helps you to become that better salesperson. And then the last thing I have is to always challenge yourself to think outside the box. So of my years as a salesman, a marketer for Sam's, I had a lot of challenges and situations where I had to step out and do things that I was not comfortable with. I started making my sales in the store. By the time I figured out how to get those sales in the store, they asked me to start going out to the businesses. And so don't be afraid when a challenge is presented. The main thing I would encourage everyone to do is to find out what are the final results you need, and to tweak whatever process you feel you need to get the results. One of the things that I found to be very helpful to me is that in looking for a manager or someone that was my mentor and above me, I always found it important to find out their management style. Having a micromanager is tough, but if you have someone that gives you the freedom to get the results, then that gives you the opportunity to try some things a little different, and to make sure that you're given the information needed, but that you're coming back with the results that they're looking for. Okay? So that self-care is really important, because that allows you to think outside the box. It allows you to be relaxed and just try some things different. So as a woman, that happens, but as a mother, I also had to learn in raising my children that my children didn't come with a manual. So I had to try some things outside of the box. I have 3 that are grown. I love them all the same, gave them the same conversation, and I got 3 different people. And so with that flexibility, I tried a lot of different things until I found what was motivational for them individually. So keep that in mind. There is no one way to do everything for everybody. Okay. So now we get to the good part, is some of the things I've shared, and just talking about the benefits of being that good salesperson. And that is, if I'm sharing my pitch with you today, but today is not the day, and I am not interested, but I appreciate your energy. I thank you for the information shared. I thank you in how you've given me the information. I may not need your services, but I may know somebody else that does. And so this is when the referral part comes in, and you're saying, okay, I appreciate your time and the opportunity to share with you. If you know of anyone at any other time that may need my services, please feel free to share that on. To share that, to pass that information on, and if there's any way that I can assist and help you, then please by all means let me know. I have found that over the years of my last years in sales and outside to be very helpful, because what I've learned is that when the people trust you, they trust you. If they know that you suggested that something is good and it's of great quality and that it will give you what you're looking for, not only will they come to you and what you're sharing, but they will come to you for things that are around. And so in my last few years of sales, I did cell phones, but because I was so open and helpful to all the other people that were around me, they would come to me for other issues as well. And so that also helped me to learn electronics. It helped me to learn other things that were around me, because I had earned their trust. I had sold them the things they needed. It was helpful to them. And I've also had situations where they will refer other people, including family and friends, to me as well. So the positivity is one of the main things that really makes a difference. It lets people know that you really genuinely care about what you're doing. And when they start sharing your name, they may not know your name, but they will describe you to a T. And so when I shared earlier about having those things that stand out, a lot of people don't remember Audrey. But while I was working, they remembered the hair, and they remembered the lipstick, and they remembered the general area. And so even when I'm here at the center, it's a staff of all women, but there are certain qualities that they point out for each female to say, no, not her, it's this one, it's this one. And so again, the thing that stands out for me, you can't see it, is I have gray that lines the front of my hair, and it stands out. And so that is one of the things that I'm okay with how they describe me and remember, as long as they describe me and remember me. And so we want to keep that in mind. Now let's talk about one of the things that a lot of people don't like to talk about, and that are the hard things when it comes to sales. And Jennifer, I know you're going to have questions for me later. So, with that being said, one of the things I need you to keep in mind as a salesman is to understand all money is not good money. All sales are not good sales. I have been in situations, now everybody wants to make the money, everybody wants to be the top person, but I have been in situations where I turned down a sale. And most people would ask, Audrey, why would you turn down a sale? Because what I realized over time is that the 30 minutes it took me to sell that product, if that person decided to bring it back, it would take me an hour and a half to fix it or return it. The other thing I look at is I've learned how to trust my instincts and to trust my gut. If my gut tells me, because I'm a very observant person, I watch everything around me and everybody. If my gut tells me, I don't think you need to touch this one, I have learned over time to say, you know what, you're right. And so one of the things in my 18 years of sales is that I started to pay attention. Before, I wasn't paying attention and realized I worked harder. And I realized I was doing too much. And so I would challenge everyone, as you're dealing with business, you're sharing information, a product, a company, if something in you says, I'm not sure about this one, I need you to trust that. Because if you're feeling that and you have a team of people with you, I would ask them, once the presentation or the opportunity is over, how they felt about the person you were meeting with and what they thought about the opportunity. Because 9 times out of 10, you may not be the only person that feels that way. Okay? Along with having that gut feeling and that instinct, as a salesperson or just someone that's in the room, I'm going to go back to, don't be afraid to ask questions. It's the things that we don't ask that will save us a lot of time. Because we assume or we think, well, maybe they meant this, or maybe they meant that. And it's not. A lot of times, a lot of things that we see and we know is right in front of us. Or we have the opportunity to ask us questions and we don't. Don't, people on Zoom, don't be afraid to ask the question. If you're thinking that somebody else is thinking it, if it popped up in your head and your spirit, it's something to it. Being a top salesperson is not all that. That's a lot of work. The other thing that I really value is I watch body language of everybody that's involved in the process. Because again, they will show you if you pay attention. So let me give you an example. I shared it a couple of days ago. And I was, the person I was sharing it with, I said, now, this situation was something that was totally different for me. But when I started listening and paying attention to my instincts, I was selling a cell phone. And the person that came in was a male, African American, and he was asking me to make a sale for him. And something in my gut at the time said, this is not good. And so in conversation, he had let me know that he had been there before, so he had purchased from someone else. Red flag. The second red flag, he told me that every time he comes in, he goes to a certain person or a certain area. And me being somebody that's been there forever, I kind of knew the general area, what he was talking about. And just seeing that person and them responding to the customer when they pass by, their facial expressions will look like, oh no, that's not good. Second flag, And mind you, I'm in conversation with the person trying to get the sale. And as we're talking, he said some other things that just made me so uncomfortable. So we're in the conversation. My gut is screaming. And I look and I said, fumbled around on the computer. Okay. I'm sorry, this time I don't have it. Now I'm still trying to keep a smile, still trying to keep the face together because I don't want to make the person feel uncomfortable. And I said, at this time I don't have it. So he proceeded to challenge me because he wanted what he wanted. So he called the manager. At that moment, I said, okay, Audrey, what do you do? I looked at my manager. I went from, hey, cold. Y'all can't see, just blank. And I had already instructed my managers, if you ever see me switch, something's not good. So the manager came over. I let him do his spiel. Now, gotta stay positive. And he said, Audrey, I need you to look again. Okay. I can't help you. And he said, it's here. And so at that time I said, I've never done this. Challenged my manager in front of a customer. I said, let me talk to you over here. I did that. He still proceeded. And I thought, this is not going to end very well. So long story short, they ended up having someone else to make the sale. But the thing that I was trying to get my manager to understand is all sales are not good sales. I know this guy is dirty. And he didn't listen. It came back on the other person. And it was crazy. But it didn't affect me. And my whole thing was, I learned that day, when my gut, my instinct says, walk away, walk away. It costs us 3 times what we got from him. No, it costs us a little bit more than that. Because phones now $1,000 a piece. If you give me $60, $70, I'd have lost $2, $3 grand. So I said, okay. So that's one of the things where, as a salesman, you are marketing yourself, you're selling a company, and you're selling a product. That's a lot of information. And so as a salesman, I want to encourage everybody to understand, when you are your best marketer, you want to make sure you go in, you understand what you're selling or whatever the product is, but that you are also prepared to provide whatever service in the manner in which you say you can complete the sale or the product. So there are a lot of things involved in being a good marketer, but there are also some things that if you will pay attention to the red flags ahead of time, it will not only save you some headache, but it will save you some money on the back end. So I want to end with this last slide and just ask some general questions. And you can write them down or you can share them. Everybody that's on the Zoom, I'd like for you to think about these as well. And these are the 3 items, because a lot of times there are things about us personally that we don't think about that are important. And the first question is, list 2 things that are a conversation starter about you. So I pointed out some things about me. When you're working on being that salesperson, or just even if you're just the friendly person that, you know, that's in the neighborhood, that's at the church, that's, you know, in the family, there are always some distinctive qualities about you. Think about those things and start focusing on those things, because when people describe you, that's what they look at. They're looking at the things that you focus on and that helps them to remember you. So think about, what 2 things are conversation starters for you? No matter where I am, it would be my hair, and it would be lipstick, depending on whether I would glitter or not. And then of course it will just be the smile that I wear on a regular basis, because I've just been programmed to even make sure that if I'm on the telephone, that you can feel me smiling through the telephone. And that's a very important quality to have. The next question is, in a sales environment, ask yourself, what are you doing that will have someone want to come back and ask for assistance from you? Now keep in mind, we're out and about quite a bit. You're passing people all day long. There are some salesmen you'll go back to, and there are some people you will not. I pass people all the time because I've been in that arena. It may be one something about a person that I'll say, no, I don't want to talk to you, I want to go to this person. So you want to think about, what is that one thing that will have a person return to you and ask for assistance? The other thing in that statement I need you guys to keep in mind, we're talking about sales of a product or a business, but everybody that is listening to me at this point, you guys are a salesman. You're a salesman for yourself, you're a salesman for your family, you're a salesman for your friends, you are even the neighborhood salesman for the grocery store with the best sale on sweet potatoes, on chicken. You are that salesman. You may not realize that, but we're all talking for somebody to help somebody save somewhere. So just keep that in mind. We're all a salesman for somebody or for something. Especially if it's a good sale and we can save some money. And then the last thing I'd like for you to think about are, what are your top 3 qualities as a salesperson? So what do you believe are your top 3 qualities as a salesperson? And I will go back to share that very first list. You may find some things a little different, and that's okay. You may think of something that's different. My top 3 are the bottom 3. I believe without a shadow of a doubt, when you walk in any room, I need you to own that room. When I walk into a room, I may not know the people in the room, but I want them to think I know that I'm supposed to be there. I've been out and about with several people, and they'll say, "Doctor, do you know them?" I don't. I just make friends fast. I smile and I ask questions. So the confidence for me is going to be the number 1. Has to be. Because if they look like you know, they're going to ask you, whether you know or not. And because I am the queen of questions, I will find out what the question is so that I can get an answer. And where somebody should know, they don't know, I have the answer. So the bottom 3 are the 3 for me. And so I just wanted to share these things with you. There are a lot of things that we don't think about. I think we kind of take it for granted, even for the person that's on the Zoom. You feel like you're just too shy and you're too quiet. I disagree. Because if we found the right subject at the right time, you can out-talk everybody in the room. And so I just want to encourage you to stay true to who you are. My final thought is, don't be afraid to ask the question. Don't. Because nobody will know what you're thinking. And 9 times out of 10, if it's something that you wanted to know, there are 2 or 3 other people in the room that have the same question. My final slide would be my contact information if anyone has any questions, or if there's any kind of way that I can help and assist or answer any questions. I am open. I am a free book, open book. I love sharing and talking about sales because that's my love. That's who I am. Miss Francis in the room, she'll tell you we've been out. We did a fire drill here right after I started here at the center. I was not at Sam's. I was here. We crossed the street, and one of the ladies from DISD, she said, "Where you been? How you get over here?" And I'm thinking, huh? And she said, I volunteered with her somewhere, but she knew me from Sam's. And she's like, "I've been looking for you. I've been in the building, you ain't been there." And I'm thinking, oh, okay. And then that was the first year. So another time we've been out, and she asked me, "Audrey, what were you doing?" I was just doing me. But they don't remember the name. but they remembered the hair, the smile, and the lipstick. And those are the things that stood out because I made sure I went above and beyond to help anybody that came within my area to make sure that they were okay. And so it has been beneficial. And they have come to me, and I have been able to talk to some of those people about the things that I'm learning where I am right now at the center. So with that, I want to open the floor. If anybody have any questions, any comments.
Audrey, we want to thank you. You did a very good job. Very informative, and I know the people will have some nuggets that you dropped today. So thank you.
Very good.
See if they have any questions.
Thank you. It was a very informative. There are lots of things that, like you mentioned, we might take for granted or that are easily overlooked in the sales position, but that make all the difference. I'm definitely walking away with a lot of new things that I learned, so I'm excited to take this information and help me use it to take my business to the next level. But one question that I did have is the accountability partner, right? That's something that I struggle with is, finding, setting goals and kind of laying it out and maybe having someone help me with that. So what would you say is a good starting point or an easy way to get started with a possible accountability partner, right?
Okay, so we talked prior, so I know you just started your business, okay? So with that, I would say, if there's someone, because what you have in your own business, it's kind of hard to have somebody in there as accountability, but if you could have someone outside of the business, be it a family member or someone in the same business but a different business, that could kind of be a mentor to you.
Okay.
Because a lot of times, the information is out there. It's just a matter of asking. So say, I know you're doing residential.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you know other people who are doing residential construction.
Yes.
I would strongly suggest that you talk to somebody and say, hey, I know we're kind of doing the same thing, kind of partner with them, but then also ask about mentoring each other, being an accountability partner, and see how that works. Because you may have some things that you're very strong at, and then that's a struggle for them. And then you're saying, I need the help, they need your help as well. Don't be afraid to ask the question. That hurts us in so many areas because we think when it comes to certain jobs and titles, a lot of people think you already have the answer or you should know, and we don't know. We don't. We're sitting there like,
Let me go find out.
exactly. So we're doing a lot of research, and it's okay to say I don't know, because when people realize that you're going to be open and honest, then they're like, okay, I can deal with that. Because if you're vulnerable with them, they're going to give that back. But then you also have to just be careful, because keep in mind, I want you to trust your gut. You can't trust everybody. You can't tell everybody everything. But start with someone that you feel confident in, and you feel like you can work with this person. Because I guarantee you're going to be able to assist each other in something. But I would start with that. And then if you got a family member, that you can trust to share those things with, to kind of hold you accountable, I would do that too. Because it's okay to have more than one accountability partner. You don't have to just have one. You may have 2 or 3 in different areas where you need help. That makes sense?
And I want to add, I enjoyed the part when you say our money is not good money.
Right.
We get, as a business owner, we get so caught up in making the sales and making the connection, getting that contract, and it can really cost us not only in money, in time, in stress. So listening to our instance, as you were saying, it's a golden nugget for me. Our money is not good money.
It's not. I'm going to give y'all another story. And my mother, I love honey with everything in it. A lady came through, and my mom was like, we were trying to help her out. She had a special needs child, and it was kind of a crazy situation, but we were trying to help her and try to help her find housing and all this other kind of stuff. And so she came through one day, and she said, I really want to be a blessing to y'all, and I want to help y'all. And we were like, yeah, okay. And she gave us some money. My mother, she said, don't touch that money. And I'm thinking, well, Mama, we helping her. It's okay. She said, mm-mm. She said, something ain't right. And for those who have them older parents,
Yeah.
you trust them.
Mm-hmm.
She said, something ain't right. Y'all, I promise you, that money sat in our kitchen for over a month. And I ain't talking no chump change. My mama was like, I gotta pray over this. Something ain't right about this.
Right.
And she was adamant. And it got to the point, it was there, but it wasn't there. We found out later there was some other things going on because they was doing some things that wasn't really right. And so we ended up donating, getting rid of it. But that is really important to understand. You gotta trust that. Everything that comes to you, everything that what they say, glitter ain't gold, it's not what it appears to be. I trust my instincts. I have said several times with Miss Francis, I said, something ain't right. Something ain't right. Or I don't like it. And back to Pam, what you shared about the money part, it hurts. It will set you back major. And when you understand it's better to leave that alone and let somebody else deal with it, because when it comes back full circle, you're going to say, that was what that was. I felt that. But we're so busy, we want to be the top. We want to make that money. And it costs you so much on the back end. It's just like, I can't believe I did that.
Right.
So, been there, done that, y'all.
Well, thank you, Ms. Audrey Brown. You did a great job. Thank you so much.
I
Yes,
do
sir.
have a question
Yes.
from one of the Facebook guests. How can you tell the difference between a challenge you should take on in your business or if it's your gut feeling that you aren't ready for it? Hopefully this makes sense. How can you tell the difference between a challenge you should take for your business versus a gut feeling that you just may be nervous or fearful?
That's going to involve research. That's going to involve a lot of research. And then thinking about the fact, can you actually complete what's being asked of you in that challenge?
Correct.
So if you're involved, if somebody's issued you a challenge, and something in you is telling you no, walk away. If something is challenging you to do the research, by all means do the research, because that's still a teaching opportunity. And it may be something that you may not do now, but you can add to your business later. But if it's something that's going to make you, again, give out and pay more than what you initially were going to make, I wouldn't touch it. The challenge is good because learning is good. But don't take on something just for the challenge and then it costs you the money that you could have made and then some.
Perfect.
That makes sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. I thank you guys. I thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Reach out to me. I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much.